I'm sorry if I seem a little bit out of sorts. I'm under the weather and also nervous as hell. I'm going to try not to read too much, but that's probably what's going to end up happening. Today I was asked to come and speak about PrEP in Montreal from the perspective of working in the IPREP study. To start off, I'll explain what the IPREP study is. It's a double-blind longitudinal study from France examining the effectiveness of the intermittent usage of PrEP with a placebo arm. Montreal is one of the sites of this study. For starters, the placebo arm has recently been dropped. All the participants in the study are now have access to actual real true data. As for the intermittent usage of PrEP, what that means in regards to the study specifically is that previously, other studies have proven that the continuous usage of PrEP, so taking it every day, like the others have mentioned beforehand, proves to be effective when people are adhering to it properly, so they're taking it like they're supposed to. What the IPREP study is examining is if the intermittent usage of PrEP is as effective, or what exactly is the effectiveness of using it. So in other words, taking 2 pills to begin with, around a sexual period or sexual activity 2 to 24 hours beforehand, and then for the next 48 hours, 2 more pills are taken each 24 hours after the initial dosage. The study itself is currently being reevaluated, so they're going to see what exactly they want to continue examining. As such, recruitment has been suspended, and so for now, the rest of the participants that are currently in the study are going to continue to receive all of the services that they have been receiving for at least another year. What happens with the participants in the study? Essentially, they are followed by the team of doctors and nurses, not only in regards to their sexual health, but also in regards to their general health. They get STI testing at every visit, so for the first 4 months, it's once a month, and then after that, it's every 2 months. Which tends to be a lot more than they usually used to do beforehand. Most of the participants used to get tested once a year, once every 2 years or so, based off what they told me. And then, other than that, they also get personalized counseling, not limited to their sexual health. I'm one of the counselors in the study, along with my colleague Maxim. And my role in all of this is, apart from the counseling, it is recruitment and promotion for the study. And also to make sure to provide and will provide accompaniment for the participants in the study. So what does our counseling look like? I was asked to talk a bit about this because this is usually the part of the study that people don't usually hear about. What we do depends largely on the individual. Who are they? What are their reasons for participating? And any goals that they may have in particular. We adapt to our participants and not the other way around. It's all about what they want specifically, what they want to get out of this. I mean, when it comes to the guys that are in our study, it's a wide range of guys, so people that are 18 to 60 years old. So the people that are in our study range from 18 to 60 years old, different ethnicities, different origins. We have people who identify as trans. We also have people that don't necessarily identify as homosexual. So it makes for a large range of people and makes for our counseling sessions to be very interesting because no one individual is the same as the other. In regards to what we do in our counseling, it can range from simple education on STIs to problem resolution, to counseling from a cognitive behavioral approach. Once again, all comes down to what exactly are the goals of the participant and what they're open to receiving. For all the counseling that we do, the main thing that we try to keep consistent is always working from a risk reduction and empowerment model done through a motivational interviewing approach. This allows for the participants to lower their risk in their sexuality, all the while respecting their choices, limits, and desires. We're not there to judge what they do, we're there to listen to them and see what they can do to augment their security in their sex lives. The fact that both of us as counselors, so me and Maxim, come from different backgrounds, me in sexology, Maxim coming from a psychosociology as well as social work background, helps us broaden our perspectives, and we essentially feed each other in the way that we do our counseling with our participants and the approaches that we take with them. Next thing I'll talk about is observations in the community. Our role wasn't only about recruiting for the study, but also about promoting and educating people about PrEP in general. anyone that would listen, I took as an opportunity to talk about PrEP, educate them about what it was, and present them with their options found here in Montreal. As a result, for the past year and a half since I started working in IPRD, I've been in constant contact with people and what they've been saying about PrEP, what I've been hearing. The first thing I can say is that people are much more aware now than they were a year ago. A year ago, you could ask anyone about PrEP and or often when I was out in the village, in the clubs, in the bars, in saunas, at sex parties, or wherever, people wouldn't know what it is, or if I did mention PrEP, they thought it was PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis, and it was a matter of really demystifying a lot of the, let's say, myths that they had heard about it, if they did know what it was. Right now, it's still a long way to go, but people at least recognize what PrEP is as opposed to before, and that's thanks to the combined efforts of all those involved, whether it be community organizations, groups like The Warning that are constantly releasing articles about it and trying to get people to understand it, as well as people who are coming out as PrEP users. The reactions we get, the initial reactions we get from people are very mixed. There's often the, oh my god, this is awesome, why isn't anyone talking about this? There's also the other end of the spectrum, which is, what a horrible idea, everyone will just want to bareback. This is where we start to enter the realm of slut-shaming versus altruism and prevention. Regardless of what a person's opinion is or what option they want to go with, my job is essentially to help people make informed decisions. I spend a lot of time demystifying misconceptions surrounding PrEP, regardless of whether it's for potential participants or just people in general that want information. Another thing that we've noticed is that a lot of people out there want access but can't get it, and there's more people like that than I would have originally thought. Yes, we have Medicare in Quebec, and a lot of people are insured, but there are still those who fall between the cracks. There are students with visas, people from other provinces that don't necessarily, that don't have their health care in order, and a myriad of other unique and complex situations. Some people also have the insurance, but depending on the insurer, they don't necessarily have the cash to pay for it up front and then get reimbursed for it, which is what some insurance providers require. And unfortunately, like Patrick had mentioned beforehand, it costs about $982 before taxes, well, after taxes, for a month's worth of PrEP. So shelling out that cash right from the get-go can be an obstacle for some people. Another thing that the impression that we're getting from people is that the misconception that HIV is no longer something to be concerned about. We tell people about PrEP and they go on to tell us, well, HIV doesn't matter anymore. I mean, you can live with it. You just take some meds every day and that's it. It's a lot of breaking down those misconceptions and those barriers to accessing PrEP. Raising awareness about PrEP however we can. People call to PrEP and we're making people aware of their options. Even right now, if we're in a period of suspension for recruitment. In regards to recruitment, it may pick back up in France, but we've heard that over here in Montreal it may not continue. Irregardless, we allow people to call us and we take our time for every single person to explain where they can get PrEP in regards to different clinics, in regards to talking about it with their doctors, in regards to guidelines set by the Ministry of Health, making sure that everyone's on the same page. We also continue to have a presence on gay dating apps like Grindr, Scruff, and Hornet. It's essentially just trying to get the word out there to as many people as possible, and being as present as possible in different events in the community, such as things like Gamer Zone, bars, saunas, wherever we can go and wherever we're accepted, we will go. And it's not only about stress, not only about promoting the study, which isn't even necessarily a priority right now, but just talking about PrEP. We go around, we have signs that say, ask us about PrEP, and we want to tell people so that way they can have a better idea of what it is. Now, one of the other things that I was asked to concentrate on were the experiences of our participants in regards to using PrEP. The first thing was a lot of people asked about the side effects. So in regards to side effects, when it comes to taking Truvada, it can be a range of fatigue, headaches, indigestion problems, and the large majority of our participants presented one or two of the known side effects, but they would quickly disappear. A lot of the participants, well, not a lot, a couple of the participants as well also experienced side effects that were pretty bad to the point where they wanted to just stop taking the medication altogether, but they would stick through with it. When we would counsel with our participants, the first approach we would take to them beforehand, when the placebo was still included, was you all have the placebo. Don't assume that you have PrEP because we can't assure you that you have PrEP. So this was kind of like a type of prise de conscience, especially something that made them realize, okay, well, I need to be more aware of what it is exactly that I'm doing. And since we made the switch from the placebo, knowing that I was going to be coming here, I made sure to ask as many participants as possible how the switch made them feel now that they know that they actually are going to be on PrEP. So the following are some quotes that I took down from some of the counseling sessions with the participants. Most of them say that now knowing that they have access to true Truvada for sure doesn't necessarily change anything for them. So one quote here is, other STIs are still undesirable. I don't want to have to go and get unnecessarily tested for gonorrhea just because I came into direct contact with it. Another quote was, PrEP is not a carte blanche. It is an insurance policy. The first quote was from someone who uses condoms most of the time, and the second was from someone who doesn't use them often at all. Regardless of their practices, they view PrEP the same way, and they recognize that their sexual health is not 100% dependent on it. Another quote was, pour moi, ça reste condom et pilule. Participants still see Truvada as a second layer of prevention, one tool in a bigger picture of combined prevention strategies. Most of what we got was, cool, no more placebo. Placebo, sorry, sometimes I speak with a French accent. A lot of the people had this simple response. One of the quotes that I found very interesting was, si je prends un vrai risque, je vais faire un traitement PPE. If I take a real risk, then I'm going to go and get a PrEP treatment. Interesting, as it shows that even with Truvada, people still didn't completely feel protected from HIV. What is a real risk then? What do you truly understand about the prevention option that you're currently taking? So it's also still, even after all this time that they've been taking this and having the constant counseling, is that we still seem to have some demystifying to do with them. And then there were the participants that were also very honest about the fact that they have the intention of having bareback sex, so now they feel safer doing so. As a counselor, one of the challenges is that for a lot of the participants, they felt that using the placebo or having the placebo was keeping them in check in regards to their sexuality. And it's for us, it's working around that whole notion of slut shaming and what it is that they're allowed to do or not allowed to do in their sexuality and helping them through that. In other words, a lot of them feel that they will be having a lot more sex without a condom. And as for the participants, a lot of them felt that this study has always been about analyzing the different ways in how Truvada as PrEP could work. So it wasn't necessarily about having access to Truvada, and that was simply a plus. All the participants were very well aware of where they could go to with the specialized clinics such as Cancer Latin or Clinique L'Actuelle, where they could go and have a higher chance of having a doctor that would prescribe PrEP to them, if not their own family doctors. They wanted to simply participate and contribute to research that is currently going on in regards to a new prevention strategy. Even if they didn't end up having sex, participants still are taking the pill as per the as per the scheme presented by IPAG, further reinforcing the idea that men who have sex with men are capable of adhering, contrary to those that would have us believe otherwise, that we're not going to be able to adhere to taking a pill every day or to taking a pill around specific periods of sexual activity. Overall, most of the participants just feel better protected now. The last question I was asked in coming to this panel, to speak on this panel, was what is the main message to get out to our community? PrEP is here. Whether you are for it or against it, it's our responsibility to understand and know what a preventive tool like this is all about. Options are important, and it's always best to know what's best for you and your lifestyle. How can you know something works for you if you don't fully understand it? Our community needs to open up the lines of communication and talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alec.